and for a generational marker for me, for somebody like Ballard, and a few of you all in the audience, only a few, mind you. We all know where we were and what we were doing when we heard President Kennedy had been shot. The next generational marker came not quite 50 years after that, and it was 9/11. All of us know where we were and what we were doing when we first heard about 9/11. For our next speaker, this is more than just a generational marker. It's a life-changing event. Ari Schonbrun is Chief Administrative Officer of Cantor Fitzgerald and Company. You may remember that name from some of the coverage. One of the world's leading financial services firm. In addition, he is an author, speaker, and he is a 9/11 survivor. He was on the 78th floor of Tower 1 when the first aircraft hit on September 11. He helped a colleague who suffered third-degree burns to get out of the building to safety. He was thrown into the national spotlight after that, not someplace he wanted to be. Mr. Schonbrun is a renowned inspirational speaker, and he is the author of Miracles and Fate on 78, the 78th floor of the tower. He draws from the personal heartbreak that he endured during the devastation of 9/11, and he deftly weaves in his capital markets experience after more than 3 decades of working on Wall Street. We are really pleased to have with us this morning Ari Schonbrun. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I tend to pace a little bit, so I'm not a big podium fan. I hope nobody's going to mind. My name is Ari Schonbrun, and I still work for Cantor Fitzgerald. Next month will be 22 years. On September 11th of 2001, Cantor Fitzgerald occupied the top 5 floors of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center, the North Tower. That was the one with the big antenna on top. On that day, we employed close to 1,000 people. 658 of my friends and coworkers were brutally murdered that day simply because they were sitting at their desks. No other reason. They never did anything to anybody. They never hurt anybody. They just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. 4 employees were actually on their way up to the offices, and they were on the upper floors. Of those 4, 3 of them were so severely burned they spent months and months in hospitals undergoing surgeries and rehabilitation, and one of them walked out without a scratch. And you're looking at that person. 9/11 was an absolutely magnificent fall day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was a perfect, perfect day. It was 20 to 7 in the morning. I had my briefcase over my shoulder. I had my cup of coffee in my hands, and I yelled up to my wife, "Bye, hon, love you, see ya." I yelled to my kids, "Bye, kids, have a great day in school." And I started to walk out the door. When all of a sudden, my wife from the 2nd floor yells down to me. She says, "Did you do Baruch's book order?" Now, Baruch is my 3rd child out of 4, at the time out of 4, and he was 8 years old. And I learned something really important that day. Teachers have a wonderful way of torturing parents. It's called the scholastic book order. Is anybody familiar with this? Oh, yeah. Well, my son was no different than any other 8-year-old in the sense that he wanted like every book and every game in the pamphlet. And my wife is a school principal. School had just opened. She was swamped. The Jewish holidays were all coming up, so she was busy cooking and getting prepared for that as well. And she said and my son was a little whiny, so she said to me, "I'm not doing this with him. I don't have the time. It's your job." Okay. So she yells down, "Did you do Baruch's book order?" I said, "No, I didn't." She goes, "You're not leaving the house until you do the book order." So I put my briefcase down, put my cup of coffee down, went into my kitchen, proceeded to negotiate with my 8-year-old for the next 20 minutes. I whittled him down to 2 books. I felt pretty good. Interestingly enough, the 2 books that he picked were from a series called Survivor. A shiver went down my spine when those books showed up like 2 or 3 weeks later. And I said, man, does God have a sense of humor or what? Well, I filled out the tear sheet, put it into his knapsack, put the check in. Oh, one thing.